Decoding Buddhism, Chapter 3, My Partial Awakening. This was the morning when I would finally grasp it, finally penetrate and perceive the far-reaching ramifications of anatta in a new light, a light that would clarify and resolve the inconsistencies and misinterpretations within mainstream Buddhist doctrine. This transformative experience, which also reaffirmed my inner connection to the Buddha, was only moments away. Gautama experienced a grand awakening. Now it was my turn for the light of higher consciousness to ignite within me and for insights into the nature of reality to flood into my being. My inner state of peace became the precursor to my partial awakening. Although mine was not of the magnitude of Siddhartha's, suffice it to say that it changed the direction of my life and goals, deepening my inner walk with God. Sitting peacefully in my garden, enjoying my tea, I suddenly recalled that the previous evening I had found some new information, a video series I hadn't yet watched. By seeming synchronicity during my research, I came across a Buddhologist and metaphysicist, Ken Wheeler, who had intriguing things to say about Buddhism and the doctrine of anatta. After days of searching topics and keywords, his videos finally appeared on my screen. I had been too exhausted to watch them then, so I had saved them for this morning. Grabbing my laptop, pen, and paper, I put myself in a receptive mode, ready to take it all in. I turned it on and listened casually for clues, as I had already heard the mainstream narrative repeatedly from other sources and found it illogical at best. Suddenly, I heard him say something completely different. This was no longer the mainstream view. It was fresh, coherent, and made perfect sense both logically and spiritually. Paraphrasing Ken Wheeler, the Buddha did not state that anatta means there is no self or soul. Gautama used a different method here to describe what atta in Pali or Atman in Sanskrit means by way of negation, defining it by what it is not. Placing the letter A in front of a word in Pali or Sanskrit inverts its meaning, leading to the terms anatta or anatman. This method of defining through negation is employed in both theology and philosophy. It is known as the apophatic method or method of negation, also called in Latin via negativa. In theology, this approach helps deepen one's understanding of the aspects of God that are beyond human comprehension. By considering all the things that God is not, we broaden our perspectives and gain an intuitive sense of what God is, even though the divine remains ultimately incomprehensible, and what we do grasp still remains indescribable. In a similar way, the Buddha explains anatta, to reflect what the self or soul is not. As I listened, insights began streaming into my consciousness, and I eagerly wrote them down. When the insights start flowing, I prefer to capture them immediately, putting into words what I see and understand while the floodgates of spirit are open. I call this insight writing. There were 5 videos on key topics that Ken Wheeler had posted, covering Brahman, Atman, the Chitta, the Eightfold Path, and the Middle Way. This treasure trove of information led me to explore the earliest texts of Buddhism, the 4 Nikayas, the original collections of the Buddha's words before any added commentary. Through understanding parts of the Nikayas, everything became clearer on every level, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. In that moment, I was transported into a heightened state of expanded awareness, as though the knowledge itself had freed me from the chains of karmic and primordial ignorance. In my experience, insights of enlightenment come on both micro and macro scales and across different dimensions of consciousness. The experience is like entering a newly lit room that is larger and brighter than the last, yet still contains the previous. One gains the ability to see and understand more in this added dimension while viewing the previous one from an expanded perspective. It isn't simply a download of more information, but rather an upgrade of consciousness, a more comprehensive understanding of reality. Over time, I have come to realize that enlightenment arrives as segmented, portion-like insights, rather than as a singular, monumental aha moment, a final grand insight that is complete, absolute, and never recurs. The Buddha's awakening was unique. It came to him after many lifetimes of preparation, of balancing karma, and cultivating the 10 virtues of perfection, called the paramitas, as we shall touch upon in the next chapter. Gautama experienced a grand awakening as a result of all his hard work. However, we shouldn't demand the same grand awakening for ourselves, but rather seek partial awakenings that align with our unique karmic situation, matched by our readiness to receive the inner light. The Buddha's path encourages us to pursue wisdom in this way. Such insights can also have a very freeing effect, as they often break the shackles of lesser ideas.